Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, I'm John, this is Many a True Nerd, and welcome back to Civilization VII. Well, last time, we wrapped up the first era in style after kicking Catherine's ass and putting together a scientific superpower. But now, it's time to start again with a brand new civilization, so, okay, let's kick off by looking at the options. Number 1, Hawaii. So, right, these guys are all about the ocean. And given the exploration ages, about expanding into the ocean, that is not a bad fit at all. So yeah, territory that goes out to sea, fishing boats, etc, etc. They are great at that sort of thing. Number 2, the Inca, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't get the Inca. Like, there are not enough mountains on the map to make the Inca worthwhile. Like, the benefits they get are pretty modest. Like, unless you are literally surrounded by mountains on all sides, yeah, I'm not sure this is the right way to go. So those we unlocked because we were playing as the Maya. The next one we're getting as we're playing as Confucius. So, okay, the Ming Dynasty. And this one I think is very, very interesting indeed. So, okay, you get to turn, yes, your capital city into an absolutely ridiculous scientific superpower. However, you lose science for every social policy, but not tradition, you've got installed. Traditions being, the ones from your personal trees, and that does of course include the ones we get to keep using from the Maya era. So, okay, that is pretty tempting, I'll admit. And finally the Normans, who yes, I unlocked because I built a giant pile of walls right at the end of the era. So, okay, these guys are heavy on the military. Including, yes, a district that generates a free cavalry, so, okay, these guys could start snowballing in a hurry. For me, though, it all comes down to one thing. Right now, I'm all about science, that's where I'm leading, so, as a result, we're going with another science-focused civilization, pairing our old friend Confucius with the brand new Ming Dynasty. So, welcome to New Bark, and yes, a lot of stuff has suddenly changed. In particular, if we just kind of glance over here, you may notice all of a sudden, yes, things are now very, very different. My science is like half of what it used to be, and there's a very specific reason for that. A lot of my buildings are now a bit on the old hat side, so my library and academy, once upon a time, they were generating, I think, 13 science together. Now that's down to 4, because buildings are when they're, left over from a previous era, they still generate their base shields, but they no longer gain any adjacency whatsoever. And that accordingly is the genius of the unique districts you can build under one civilization, but carry forward into the next, which is, they never lose their magic. They're as good now as they ever were, so all of a sudden, my unique Maya quarter is generating a lot more science for me than the actual science quarter is. And in terms of Bark as a whole, that's still a city, but unfortunately, everything but the centre of your empire during an age transition reverts back to being a town, though luckily it is pretty bloody cheap to convert it straight back again. And while that all sounds pretty on the bad side, don't you flipping worry, because yes, there are some very nice things that we could do to fix all that up a bit. In particular, this is what the legacy tracks are for. The more points you earn in one era, the more benefits you get in the next one. Obviously, yeah, the two most exciting are going to be the Golden Ages. So, Great Library Golden Ages, all my academies become Golden Age academies. So, I was just saying, my academies have lost their adjacencies, etc, etc. Well, how about actually they don't? They stay as good as they were previously, so okay, that could be rather bloody nice. The alternative is, yes, the Silk Road's Golden Age, so all of my cities from the previous age remain cities. This, honestly, I think is pretty flimsy because, like I was just saying, it's 200 gold to restore them to being a city already, so it is really not that impressive. Like, I think the science bonuses off Great Library, that's way more interesting. Especially when I can just use my economic points to give myself money, and I can use that money to turn my cities into cities, that's fine. But yeah, small leftover points, you just use them to give yourself attribute points, so I'll take, yeah, 1 economic right here, and as for my 1 military point, okay, that's either military or expansion, and I'll probably go for expansion given, yeah, in this era, expanding in a hurry, that's important. What I would also love is, yes, because I had a whole bunch of codices in the previous era, I get to functionally carry them forward. So, okay. Plus 11 to my science immediately. There's an argument that says, you know, having the scientific attribute point, that's better in the long run, but you know what? I'll have that, because at least it gives me, yes, an advantage immediately. And that means I don't get inward perfection for culture for excess happiness. That I could do without, I think, so yeah, I'll take a diplomatic as well. Though before we confirm all of that, yes, there's one more very final sad thing we need to do. You see, we're in the age of exploration now, and that means, you know, we need to be getting out over the sea, etc, etc. And Barkey is not landlocked. I suppose, you know, there is a navigable river that goes out in this direction, but it's really not well placed for the current age. And that means it's time for one last change. Tikal gets a free upgrade to a city, on top of that, it becomes the new centre of our civilization, and finally, it gets a new name to reflect the current era. Also, delightfully, I'm not sure if this is like, you know, a bug or not, but if you do make that change, you actually get 2 cities, not 1. So Bark is still a city. Now, this is also a city too, so alright, that should save me 200 gold. And speaking of which, Wank Capno, we just dropped 250 gold on you, my friend, and there we go. Most of my cities are now cities again on the first turn of the age. Seriously, the economic golden age is not worth bothering with. And finally, those are leader points. So, okay, happiness for every resource. I do like gathering resources. Gold for every tech and civic mastery. Marvellous. And, yep, bonus towards settlers. Spot on. But yes, put all that together and all of a sudden, the Golden Age Academy is looking a lot more healthy. As indeed is my science overall. So, right, with that done, we're now ready to begin properly, because up to this point, it's just been about this one continent we all live on. Now we can start crossing the ocean and figuring out what's beyond it, and absolutely, I want to be the first person out there, which is why I'm going to be rushing cartography, so yeah, I can start getting settlers out into the waves and getting colonies down on new islands, and I can be pretty confident I'm going to be the first person out there, for the simple reason I've got more science than everybody else. That's the core of the science game at the minute. As for cultural, now it's all about religion, so let's get one of those set up too. That admittedly we're going to be a bit slower on, given, oh, my culture is embarrassing next to everybody else's, gotcha. And do bear in mind, of course, it's not just me that's gone through some changes, everyone else has too. So yes, my older friend Frederick, he's now leading the Songhai civilization. So as a result, right, he's now all about money and trade. Isabella, meanwhile, right, obviously, you know, when they can, everyone goes over to their correct historical partner. So as a result, she's leading Spain. And naturally, given, you know, the history of the Spanish Empire, they are very, very good at getting out into the world, colonization, etc, etc. Jose Rizal, meanwhile, right, he's Hawaii, they're playing a big culture game. Oh, and, we might have a small problem here, which is, so it turns out Catherine the Great is leading the Norman Empire. And as I was saying a minute ago, yeah, the Norman Empire are terrifying, actually. They've got very, very good cavalry, and their unique buildings have just let them spawn more, so, okay, that's actually a bit on the worrying side. We might need to, yes, build more troops and defences than I was anticipating. Oh, though speaking of which, hang on, what the cock has been right? There's been some, changes. I'm guessing, yes, more towns than I saw flipped due to happiness problems. So yeah, Frederick took Argos, but it flipped back to Isabella, so she's locked down this entire island again. But Frederick did at some point, yes, get this town right on the edge of the peninsula over here. But that's a pretty minor victory next to Janet over here, which at some point flipped to flipping Jose, and, I mean, that's one hell of a prize. 26 population, right on the ocean, with multiple wonders incited by the Luxiovets. Oh yeah, that's like, you know, one of Frederick's Egyptian unique quarters that's basically just been stolen by Jose, so, alright. It turns out possibly, despite being at war with basically everybody in the last era, the lad may have had the last laugh after all. Meaning Frederick's actually in a bit of a bad situation. Second last place when it comes to, number of cities down, given he's just lost one or two. So, okay, Catherine's already at 7. And her science and culture are pretty decent too. We need to keep an eye on her, absolutely. Okay, speaking of my defense, yes, my army has basically been modernized, if you will. So I had to honor my, special Maya archers down in Pompeii before we moved over. So now I've got, the heavy archer, the tier 1 ranged unit for this era. My unique unit in this era being the Zhenlei Chong. So, okay, that's taking the role of infantry, except unlike other infantry, it's got an optional range attack it can do as well. I mean, honestly, given, the heavy archer has got a range of 2 and range damage of 30, and this guy's also got range attack 2 with a range damage of 30, but can also fight in melee. Okay, so basically we should just be building them, gotcha. Okay, there's more we can do to bulk up our empire yet though, which is policies we've got available, and as you probably noticed, yes, while we've lost all the social policies from the previous era, traditions from my own tech tree, you get to keep those going forwards. So naturally, yes, let's get science back on all the vegetation, and +2 science and all happiness buildings too. Beautiful. Put that in play, that's another 20 science right there. Lovely. And then there's resources. So, okay, resources are really interesting age to age, because some of them immediately change what they do. Silk, for example, doesn't change at all. That still gives 10% culture to the city it's currently set in. But this stuff here, which is apparently some sort of clay, that's what the comments let me know, yeah, that now gives a tiny bit of food if you put it in a city in the homeland, but if you put it in a city that's, somewhere not on your starting continent, it's a lot more efficient. Incense, meanwhile, which used to give you a bonus to science, now that's all about religion instead. So yeah, we want to probably get that straight out of Bark City, because it's not really contributing much. You may also notice some new stuff up here, which is, yes, just like we needed iron in the first era to make my infantry units a bit stronger, all of a sudden Niter has appeared on the map. So yeah, if we could collect enough of that, my ships and siege units get better. So yeah, we got a bit lucky there. Some of that spawned right here next to Wag Cardinal. So yeah, we got some of that immediately. My ships are going to have a bit of an advantage. Beyond that, I'm not seeing, yes, anything too exciting that's immediately appeared. This area where Carthage used to be, they're gone of course now, every city-state's gone. Yeah, not quite as desirable as it used to be, given incense isn't really that exciting. The gypsum would be nice, that's production, it never hurts to have production, but yeah, I'm not going to be rushing in that direction, in fact, blimey. Okay, I wouldn't mind, selling up here, purely for the sake of, making sure Spain can't. But then there's, this tiny area down here that could be an amazing fishing community with the Great Barrier Reef right there as well. And don't forget, we've got to, save settlement capacity for whatever's out on the ocean. Though speaking of which, irritatingly, yes, my starting ship is right here by Bark. It's going to take some time for it to get to the ocean, so yeah, we should probably just, build a new one right here. Oh, the absolute priority is, yes, right now we need more production in my new centre. Right, get a bloody saw pit out and eat, yes, more out of all these bloody woodcutters. As for the more developed core of the Empire, yeah, you may notice immediately, there's not a lot we can currently build, for the simple reason, buildings from the last era are now just gone forever. As are all those sad abandoned wonders we never got round to building. Still, we've got one, which is, yes, the new and improved marketplace. And now we get into the wonderful, sexy world of overbuilding, which is, there comes a point in the game, and it's right now actually, when yes, you're going to want to start building over old stuff with new stuff. Say for example, yes, popping down at my lovely new bazaar right here, and thereby basically demolishing the market to put something new over the top of it. Now you may be thinking, John, why would you do that rather than just building in an empty tile? The market's still producing some gold. Not as much as it was, but still some. And that's true, but it's not much, and you're still paying building maintenance on it. So, just by existing, the market is costing me 2 happiness. Plus, you should expect a good slot for a money building in one era is still a good slot in the next. So, as a result, I do get a 7 gold on my bazaar by, building over the market. Plus, on top of that, on occasion when you build over something, yes, you might get an event where, you dig something out of the ruins. So, it's generally worth doing when it's much of a muchness. So, down you go, my friend. Now that's going to be a brand new sexy modern market. Right, all that done, yes, my empire's looking a little bit better, but okay. Possibly next turn, yeah, some of my opponents are going to do precisely the same thing. Plug in some new policy cards, etc, etc. Oh yeah, they're definitely looking a tiny bit healthier the following turn, but not that much to be honest. I'm still, comfortably ahead when it comes to science, and that means I'm going to be first out on the ocean. And even better, yeah, because of the way this has all worked out. Basically, I control this bloody coastline. Over in the east, yeah, Frederick and Jose, they are going to be erasing each other. But as for me, I'm just racing against Isabella. And I'm fine with that, because she's literally in last place when it comes to science. It's going to take her bloody ages to get out onto the ocean. Oh, and naturally we're picking a new government too. So yes, just as before, this is the rewards for during a celebration, though... Okay, there are, in my experience, less celebrations in this era. Your happiness is a bit more difficult to manage, so unless you've got a happiness-focused civ, yeah, you're not going to get too many of these showing up, but... Okay. Culture, food, and gold, paired with, yes, civilian and support, overbuilding, or cavalry and naval. I'm going to say... plutocracy. That production towards overbuilding, that's pretty good. Okay, couple of turns later, we're now about to finish cartography. The moment we do, yeah, I could start building a new water infrastructure, and more importantly, all civilian and support units may enter the deep ocean tiles. They might, take a bit of damage in the deep ocean, because, we're not very good at shipbuilding yet, but they'll be able to start exploring. And this is the point where we want to start taking advantage of, yes, all those tools we've inherited from our Maya predecessors. Just because we're not the Maya anymore, that doesn't mean, yes, their unique structures don't work. I've still got their unique quota in my 3 biggest cities, and that means that when this technology finishes, I still gain that ridiculous production boost. This means what I'm going to do right now in, yes, whack Capnol is set a settler training immediately, which should take a whole whopping 8 turns, dear flipping dear. Meanwhile in Yingchan, yes, we've got a boat in production, that should take 5 turns too. And I'm going to get, yes, settler number 2 training embark right here as well. The point is, next turn, I want to be hitting the ocean bloody hard immediately. Because in just a moment, when that technology finishes... okay, so, we've learnt cartography, great, all things are good, etc, etc, but, oh my. Looks to me like this boat's suddenly done. And this settler is only 1 turn away from finishing. And this one is already finished, so, I love the Maya. The Maya are just ridiculously good. And with that, we're off into the ocean, and, okay. I can immediately see there's something right over here. Might not be, good or anything, but, it's there. That's a positive thing. And in terms of tech, right. Cannot but, yes, be a tiny bit concerned about what Catherine might be planning. So, I think we should be moving towards castles and a heraldry for, yeah, the next step of defences, and also significantly more powerful infantry. So okay, we'll take astronomy en route because that also unlocks an extra science building, functionally the replacement for the library, the observatory. And as we're moving towards the ocean, right, let's get some infrastructure set up. So, basic wharf for generating, yeah, 4 food by default, but extra food for adjacent water. So, 7 right here. Lovely. And you may notice, by the way, yes, until we're better at shipbuilding, every moment we're out on the open ocean, any unit is just going to take a damage over time. So, yeah, you're going to want to be careful. Not least as you can only move 1 tile a turn when you're out on the flipping ocean. So, okay. Let's get my other units out and about. I know you're not a boat or anything, but you're just going to have to make a do, my friends. If you're interested, by the way, yes, you need to get up to a shipbuilding before you stop taking damage in the open ocean, so, yeah, that's just going to be some way away. Still, boat number 1 has made it to somewhere, and, Okay. I see something rather sexy, and that is cocoa. So, right. This is officially a distant lands resource. It can't spawn on your home continent. Instead, the only way to find it is, yes, in anything that's not on your home continent. What the game refers to as distant lands. So, as a result, yeah, we might want to go and get hold of that. Because that is one of the potential ways we can get a golden age going forward. You basically, yes, earn treasure fleet points by finding these rare resources and then shipping them back to your home continent. And yeah, now we're in more shallow territory, my boat can move around a lot more easily, and, okay. What we appear to have here is, yes, at least 2 cocoa straight away. That's probably interesting enough that, yes, I want to get a settler over in that direction to settle maybe, yeah, here might be nice, actually, because, yeah, there's a mangrove swamp right there, and apparently that's good enough to count as a fresh water. This is one of my favourite bits of the whole of Civilization 7, by the way. The rush to explore the ocean right at the start of the exploration age, knowing full well everyone else is trying to do the same thing. Okay, following Turner, we've got some new bits and pieces, which is okay. Astronomy is done, and also I probably should have been, like, you know, keeping an eye on what my cities were producing to take advantage of that, but okay, whatever they were building, I'm sure it's done faster as a result. So, that's done, and by the looks of it, yes. We've just met someone new, because it's not just a small islands out here. There's also a second giant continent, on which several other civs now exist, and they're not just going to sit there and do their own thing. They're also heading out into the world and looking for good new territory to colonize. And the first person we've run into is, yes, a Harriet Tubman. And I most definitely want to be friends with Harriet Tubman because she is a nightmare to go up against. Because up to now, yes, I've mainly been talking about the positive diplomatic things you can do to people. You know, treaties, endeavours, etc, etc. There's also bad things you can do, like sanctions and espionage. And she's really good at those, and also gets tons of bonus war support, so, yes, basically, fighting her is incredibly bloody difficult. Just, yeah, let's be chill, okay? No trouble, Harriet. And whatever's going on her home continent, yeah, there's someone she likes, and someone she doesn't. Okay, meanwhile, further north, right. We've got another island here that's got tea on it. I like tea. Tea's good, actually. But okay, one of the new city-states has spawned on there. Okay, I feel like this might be a good opportunity to, yes, basically make friends with you, then integrate you over time. Okay, a few turns later, yes, we're just moseying about trying to figure out what's going on here precisely. But more importantly, settler number 1 has made it. Tiny bit better because of the ocean, but still, we're here. And that means we've got our first settlement in the distant lands. And while we could immediately help ourselves to some cocoa, there's honestly not much point. We can't ship it back right now because obviously you can't put together a treasure fleet to ship it home until you've got a port to generate the treasure fleet. So we may as well focus instead on, yeah, just growing this city. So okay, expand out into the ocean, etc, etc. And it's definitely worthwhile tossing down a fishing key. Because, yeah, obviously being on a tiny island, a lot of tiles in the city are going to be marine tiles. So, basically you can't do anything but fishing. This is where Hawaii shines, by the way. Because, yeah, they could just generate tons of culture through every single one of those tiles. And I've got one more settler here. But I'm not 100% sure where I want them to go. Because there is some tea I could, in theory, try and grab, but yeah, there's another bloody city-state here that might get it before I can get it. There might be a better island around here. I'm just sending my boat to, you know, go and have a poke at it. Okay, but don't get too distracted, by the way, John, because, right, Catherine is clearly planning things back home. But no. Actually, as it turns out, you haven't denounced me. Sorry about that. Well, I tell you what, given I'm literally moseying around with my scout trying to figure out what Catherine's doing, yeah, I'm seeing her elite super heavy cavalry floating about. Guys, I'm going to suggest we, like, you know, just to take a turn to, yes, build some infantry, just for safety. If we're lucky though, yeah, she won't rush into war until we're actually in a position where she could declare it formally. And until we're officially, you know, hostile, she can't do that. Oh, one other fun thing, by the way, which is, yes, we've got a new pop right here. Meaning, just as before, we can either invest in new tiles or reinvest in the ones that are already down in order to get better bonuses. And over here, with, say, my Golden Age Academy and Observatory, yeah, that's a +6 science off a single bloody pop. That's not bad at all. Now, given the tile already generates, 12, you might be thinking, John, surely it's possible to make some absolutely ludicrous tiles with absolutely nonsense shields on them, and yes it is. In fact, that's one of the things this age is about. The Science Golden Age specifically asks you to generate districts that are not the city centre with ridiculous bloody yields. Now obviously that involves, using specialists, and as we get further and further down the tech tree, we can stack more specialists on a single tile. And don't forget, of course, there are many wonders that, yes, add more yields onto existing quarters under certain conditions, so all of a sudden, yes, you need to be thinking about tech, pops, wonders, everything in order to create super yields if you want a Science Golden Age, and I like this one. This is one of my favourite things to chase. For the time being though, yes, honestly I feel like this city just needs more production. We are comfortably ahead when it comes to science already, so yeah, I'd rather expand into these forests up here and help myself to 3 production, 1 science, 2 happiness, because we're gonna be needing the happiness sooner or later anyway. And at the same time, yeah, start working on a heraldry. Let's get my infantry up to tier 2. If she's coming in with elite cavalry, yeah, my elite infantry needs to be ready to meet it. Okay, as for the islands, yeah, looks like the one with the city-state on it's actually got, a little bit more landmass than I was expecting. I'm just looking into that now, though I suspect possibly at this point, Spain may be on the way in that direction. This one's got 1 more cocoa on it, which is, fine, but not that exciting. Okay, and there's definitely more going on down here. This is a big island too. But I feel like, the ability to lock down some spices and also my first cup of tea. Okay, it's not perfect, but yeah, this will be fine. And we do have, yes, more troops are coming in too, so okay. Bare minimum, yeah, we've got a decent line of defense ready to go on my border cities. And here we go, almost certainly, yes, last out of everyone on the cooking field, we've discovered what piety is, meaning, okay, we can set up a temple and get going with a religion. Ooh, this is unexpected though, right. Jose Rizal doesn't want to play nice, he's also potentially looking for war. Okay, you're not doing that right now, my friend, but I'm now wasting a lot of bloody influence on, just trying to slow down these losers. Yeah, this border is pretty much undefended. If he went to war with me, that could be trouble. I need a Frederick back on board. Just so you know, if either of these people attack me, yeah, he'll be up their backsides with his military. Oh, though I tell you what, I just had an idea. The Ming Dynasty is very good at defense. In particular, yeah, we could build the Ming Wall. So that's a giant pile of culture, which I kind of need. And on top of that, every unit defending on it gets +6. That's enough to offset the deity penalty pretty much. So okay, that could be a good way to defend ourselves. And yes, while the bit of my empire that's on the coast is focused on expansion, we can focus on religion right here in Bark. Get down the first temple, please. Also, I've just noticed that, yes, the folks who are living on this island, they've just got a bit angry, possibly because I, colonized it. So, okay, they're sending swordsmen at me. That's fine. I've got some advanced troops ready to move in. We can just buy them with gold. Everything's under control. Oh, and gosh darn it, Isabella's looking a fighty too. Yeah, funny old thing about the AI in Civ 7. I swear it's a lot more aggressive than it used to be. So, okay. The situation might be about to devolve into me and a Frederick versus literally everyone else. Frederick, old buddy, old power. Me and you, we need to start, getting closer in a hurry. Bare minimum, though, yeah. The tea is now within our borders. Beautiful. Oh, yeah. And we may have got to the party first. That's a huge advantage. But Spain has now got settlers pouring in this direction. And it concerns me I'm seeing a fleet commanders around my waters too. Okay, Isabella, right, she's definitely planning something. Bare minimum, before the war starts, yeah, we do have heraldry, and I'm pretty confident no one else does. And yeah, for only 160 gold, honestly a bargain, yeah, my infantry can now be tier 2 infantry. Better at fighting, better at shooting, better at everything. Oh, and Frederick, me and you, we could be friends. 120 influence to, yes, have +3 to combat strength. Abso-flipping-lutely. And honestly, let's keep it going. Heraldry 2 right now, yeah, more power for my infantry, because in this age, my infantry is going to be king. Oh, and one final thing too, my temple's done. And that means I get to create a religion. Though, one thing of note, which is, yes, the, lion symbol from Civ 6 is gone. So, you can't use a cat symbol to create tabbyism, as I traditionally do, the religion of the former many a true cat. So, basically, yeah, 0 out of 10 a worst Civ game ever. Well, you know what, game? We're just gonna have to work with what we've got here, which is, we've got, yes, 2 fish circling around each other right now. And thus we shall create a religion for our current 2 kittens, Xena and Willow, forming a beautiful 2-part divine entity. All glory to Xena Willowism. And immediately we add a couple of beliefs, though religion in Civ 7 is very simple, next to how it works in Civ 6. Basically, it all comes down to one thing, generating relics. The main thing you decide for your religion is, how do you make your relics? So, for example, you could gain 2 relics immediately if you can avert, yes, a city from another civilization that's got a wonder in it. But here's what I'm thinking. Evangelism. So just 1 relic for every time you convert another civilization settlement in a distant land that's not a city-state, and because I've kind of, you know, locked down a very large part of the west coast of this continent, yeah, my missionaries could get to whatever's on that side, like Harriet Tubman, relatively easily, probably before anyone else could. So that's how you generate relics, and then you generate your founder beliefs, so you know, the benefit you get as the founder of this religion. And tragically, interfaith dialogue getting me science for every foreign settlement following it, that one's already taken. Though I could have a gold or culture. I feel like my culture's a bit of a lost cause. Gold would be good though, so yeah. Every foreign settlement following my religion, let's get some gold in play. That's all we can do for now. As time goes on, yeah, we can add more to my religion. Okay, still no war. Heraldry 2 is done. That is marvellous, so okay. Once again, I feel like, yeah, if Catherine does something now, it's not gonna work out well for her. Oh, but here's exciting. So, right. We have now got a city-state who's decided to be on our side on account of spending all that influence. And this is now super cool, because now they work for me, I could give them all sorts of interesting directions. Like, for example, you know, I can invest in them to make them bigger and stronger, or like, you know, just to borrow their units if I need to. And finally, if I save up a cocky ton of influence, yeah, I can just absorb them into the Empire. And given they're sitting on, you know, tea, I might be tempted to do that. And I know what you're thinking, John, why are you, like, so obsessed with tea? Okay, you might not be thinking that because I'm British, so going towards secure tea, that's just kind of, you know, baked into my DNA. But there is a specific reason for that. I'm beginning to think about the next era, the modern era, and sure, certain civs are just available to you because of who you're playing as in terms of leader or civ in this era, but others can be unlocked depending on what you do. Like, if you want to play as the French, you've got to have access to wine. Japan, meanwhile, that needs tea. And Japan is very, very powerful, and could potentially suit my playstyle really nicely indeed, so, okay. Locking down that tea, that could be rather important. For the time being, though, we could just choose our suzerain bonus, and I do like you can choose this, so, you know, there's unique structures, you could put up various bonuses, very, very nice indeed, or unique flipping resources, and that's pretty good, actually. Go on, then. We'll have that back in our empire. Because, yeah, the faster this place grows, the better. Okay, all quiet so far. And bare minimum, we have now remembered how walls work. So, you know, probably best we build some of those right here on the border. Because, Yeah, I don't trust cocking anybody right now. And perfect timing, we finally got, yes, the 9 garrisons are coming into play. So you know what? I'll take 2 sites in any settlement that's got a garrisoned unit. I think pretty much all of them have got one now. Oh yeah, nice little boost there. And more importantly, yes, our more vulnerable settlements are now capable of building some rather nice defences. Which will also give me an absolute cocking ton of culture, which I could really bloody use. So I will happily, yeah, destroy this farm to build this new lovely structure. And as the final pièce de résistance, yeah, that island in the middle may not be the best, but we've got her anyway. And that's pretty good, actually. Because if nothing else, yeah, camels are sexy and we love them. Oh, but hang on, right. I think the moment may be upon us. Catherine just immobilized her flipping cavalry. Okay, Jose, naff off. I am busy with Catherine right now. Oh, and guess who's also shown up to the party? Cocking Isabella is now landing troops to the north of my empire. Okay, it turns out to be, quite a lot of troops, actually. I was thinking possibly, you know, Catherine was going to be the one who triggered this war, but, I'm increasingly suspicious it's going to be Isabella. Okay, Harriet, I do not need this from you as well. So, right, I feel like I've just, you know, walked into the nemesis of my hubris right there, which is, sure, I was able to go out and grab some incredibly valuable islands, but, as a result, everyone's noticed I've grabbed the valuable islands and all the resources on them, and also the towns on aforementioned islands are basically undefended. Meaning I'm seeing, yes, a lot of ships floating around here. Harriet Tubman ships definitely are, you know, sniffing around my new empire. And Spain is basically cocking furious that, yes, I've taken the territory that they probably feel is logically theirs too. Right, basically, things are looking pretty good internally, but I suspect the mother of all wars is about to break out, not just on our continent, but also out on the high seas. In which case, you know what? Screw it. Shipbuilding. Get working on that right now. If we could control the seas, bare minimum, we can hold our islands. But yes, holding all of this, and defending the treasure fleets when they start spawning, dealing with war on at least 2 fronts, possibly more. Yes, that might be, a bit on the challenging side, so, how about, yes, we wrap things up there, and figure out how to survive this nightmare in the next episode. So, hopefully, you join me for that. But in the meantime, I've been John, this has been Many a True Nerd, and this has been Civilization 7. Thank you very much, and goodbye. You know, I really hope we've agreed open borders with Japan, by the way, otherwise they have basically just invaded. I may have picked the wrong fight over... Yep. And my cities, of course, have got even more flipping high-tech, though mysteriously still completely dependent on, you know, an aqueduct. Now, I'm not saying your entire army is mostly already dead, but it kind of actually is.